We got a full house here today.
It is a full house.
Right.
And no one can hear Greg. Well, imagine that. Hey, Greg's mic isn't working. Let me jump on. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Greg Knows Our Show from Mesh and Sports Network. Greg, whenever your mic starts working, you just jump in. It's your show, buddy. But hey, we wanted to come to everybody with a special broadcast tonight. We want to do a lot of talk about the wrap up of the NCAA season. The college football playoff is now set. So, I'm joining Greg as almost always. Juice, nice to see you too, man. It couldn't be a happier Alabama fan, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean,
all right, boys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, we got Greg.
Those gremlins, man.
I think. So
Yeah, George Mason,
those gremlins.
Education is paying off for him right now.
Yeah, I'm here. All right. Well, boys, good afternoon, man. What a day, man. What a day. There's been a lot of phone calls, a lot of yelling back and forth, a lot of arguments about who should do this, man. But college football announced their playoffs, man. This is what I love hate. I have a love-hate relationship with this, right? It's kind of like the old coaches poll, the AP poll, and all the discussions. Kind of missed that a little bit, but this one got me fired up, man. More so, I think, than anything else, man.
Hey, Greg, let me stop you right there. You talk about the college, the coaches poll and the AP poll. I want to say it was like 94, 95, the last time there was a split national champion.
That was horrible.
But was it? Look what we got because of it. You got the BCS, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and so here we are with the CFP, and we're still going to argue about it. We've been 20 plus years of just arguing, and now there's. I guess they settle on the field, so that's an improvement over two coaches polls, but or coach in the AP poll. But I didn't care. It's you. That the bowls meant something. The whole bowl list came out today.
Yeah.
You know how many of them I'm going to watch? Maybe 2. So
yeah,
I watch a lot of them.
Playoffs. That's all that people are going to care about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, West Virginia is playing on a Tuesday night. I want to say it's December 28th, maybe Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m. Do you think I'm staying up to watch that? I got to work. People have jobs. I'm not going to watch college football bowl games at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I'm not so much worried about the time and everything like that. I mean, look, obviously there's nothing really going on that night, so we're going to watch it. But, Juice, I'm just going to get around to you, man. I'm going to flat out say it. Me and you were talking as the thing came out. Alabama jumped to number 1.
Yeah. And look, my initial reaction was, oh, my God, I can't believe they jumped Michigan. But listen, so the more I think about it, and I went back over Michigan season and Cincinnati season and Georgia season, who's got a better win? I mean, really, who has a better win than Alabama over Georgia? That's where I'm at with this. And that's really the only argument I got is who's got a better win.
Other than the Michigan-Ohio State, that's the only other comparable, but that doesn't compare to Alabama over Georgia.
Yeah, I'd call it comparable, but it's definitely not better. Yeah, Alabama's got the best win.
And so that's really where I'm at with this.
So let me say this. I watched it. I watched the interview that Reese Davis on ESPN had with the commissioner of the committee, right? The committee chairman. First of all, you name me a single guy in a suit that has ever made a great decision in this world. Please tell me.
Oh, no.
Okay? No one. Okay?
The fact
His
that we
little
have
cheesy grin, little cheesy smile in a suit just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible. It's incredibly bad. Here's the deal. Reese Davis was not happy, and I agree with Reese.
Right.
It's a recency SEC bias, and he called it out. Okay, you have to give Reese Davis a lot of credit and ESPN because they called this committee on the carpet. He flat out asked the question. What did the committee see that jumped Alabama over Michigan? And he said this. He said that it was last night. Okay, it was last night's game against Georgia. That's what sealed the deal,
Yeah.
and they walked like they basically the committee said without really any kind of discussion. Everybody walked out and they said how impressed that win was over Georgia without any discussions. Okay, so it's complete recency bias. Okay,
Yeah, it's what have you done for me lately?
100%.
What it is.
100%. Now listen, let me say this: if Michigan played Ohio State that way, like that, would Michigan be in that situation? I mean, look, it's like they forgot everything, the whole body of work in the entire year. They forgot literally looking at Georgia's schedule, literally looking at who Georgia played. They put Georgia on a pedestal, number one, which was undoubtedly the case. But we said it on this show, the best offensive team that Georgia had faced was Tennessee, okay?
You're exactly right.
I called it out. Sam called it out. We all said, look, man, these guys are paper champs, okay? They're paper defense. They're not the 85 Bears, okay? They're not even the 2000 Ravens. They were playing teams that were just absolutely inferior to them, and they just waxed the floor with their schedule, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you get speed like Alabama had last night against Georgia. What do you expect? I mean, I expected that game to happen that way. I really did.
I didn't. I really didn't. I thought going into the game it would be an old school SEC defensive slugfest, and that was my honest. And if I'd have put money on, that's what I'd put money on. I'd have put if you'd have told me the over was 30 points, I would have taken the under. Really?
Yeah.
Should have been like that 24-21 type game, not a 40-point.
Yeah. I didn't see
by Alabama.
I didn't see it coming, especially after the way they played Auburn. But look, it is so hard to beat a team twice in the same season. It's so hard. And looking forward to the playoffs and stuff like that, you're almost setting yourself up for another all SEC championship game. Me personally, I live in the South. I love the SEC football. I hope it doesn't happen like that. I would rather see an Alabama, Michigan, something like that than I would an Alabama, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You have an Alabama, Georgia final. Your diehard fans are gonna tune in. But
I'm out.
Your casual fan, I'd be out too. Your casual fan in the Northeast, in the Midwest, out West ain't watching it. It'll be on every set in every TV set in the South, sure, but you have to think back to Major League Baseball and their Subway Series, the Mets and the Yankees. Did anybody not in New York watch that? No, they didn't.
No.
So, but that's what this playoff has given us. I think that the committee should have said, Georgia, Alabama, you're playing in week one. That's put and get it out of the way. They want that all SEC final because they get to say for a whole week all SEC final, but it's going to be boring in the end.
Look, man, here's the deal. They came out and asked the question, did they structure this seeding based on not having them play each other back to back? And the guy in the suit said, "Oh no, that had nothing to do with it. We take each individual team, and they take the body of work, and we rank them what we think." I think I call bull on that, man. I mean, I call absolute bull on that. Now, here, they back themselves into a corner regardless, because you're going to have these two teams face each other no matter what, right? If Michigan was 1, Alabama would have been 2, right? Georgia would have been 3, and Cincinnati 4. You would have had this situation. Now, I think the best scenario happened with this committee, even though I think the rankings are incorrect. But I think that the games that we want to see in the first round of the playoffs, I'm apt to watch it. Now, look, Alabama's going to just beat the tar out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati might keep it close. I don't know what the opening line is. My guess is probably 11 and a half, Alabama. But, I would say Alabama is absolutely going to wax the floor of Cincinnati. You're going to find out why, you're going to find out real quick,
why you don't play in the SEC or the Big 12 or Big 10 or something else.
Luke Fickell, great coach, great program. I like Cincinnati, man. I really do. I think they're a very scrappy team, but beating Notre Dame, good win at Notre Dame.
That's a solid win.
But not anywhere close to beating an SEC team, right? So I would be shocked if Cincinnati keeps it within 10.
But Cincinnati's another one of those teams that, if you're Tennessee, are you going to schedule them? If you're Wisconsin, do you want to schedule Cincinnati? The dangerous teams will not be taken on by your college football blue bloods. They're scared of them. They want the easy wins.
True.
That's why who was it? Charleston Southern. How about that? Next to the last week of the season, Georgia plays Charleston Southern. That's a paycheck game, is what that is. They feel that, yeah, and
practice.
Yeah, no, it's a paycheck game. It's not practice. They wouldn't put a West Virginia or a Washington or a Colorado or Cincinnati or the Raging Cajuns in that position that late in the season. They want a paycheck. The your higher tiered schools are scared of you call them mid majors to take a basketball term. They're scared of them. They won't. The only way they will schedule them is sometimes a 2-1, where you come to my house twice and I'll visit yours once. But almost never will they go to a smaller school and play them in their house.
And I agree with you 100%. But that kind of leads into the this conference expansion thing. Okay, well, you're going to lose when you get Texas and Oklahoma in here. You're going to lose one of those paycheck games. I mean, you really are.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play everybody in your division. So you're going to lose the Morehead State or the Georgia State or you're going to lose one of those. But, looking at the overall schedule, every big team, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, they've got those 2 or 3 games a year that it's going to be, you're going to be lucky if you sell out the stadium because, my gosh, nobody wants to go see Alabama win by 50 or be up by 50 at halftime.
Right.
You just don't. But, that being said, Cincinnati, they can only play who's on their schedule. Same with everybody else. Cincinnati, look, it is very, very hard. I don't care what league you're in. It's very hard to go undefeated through a course of a whole, 12, 13 game season. And it's really hard to get up for those consistent games. They're back to back to back, like you would see in the SEC West, where you've got LSU, Auburn, Georgia kind of back to back to back. So it's really hard to get up for those games all in 3 weeks in a row.
Right. No, I hear you, man. But just what was your top 4 after last night?
My top 4 honestly was Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, Cincinnati, and that was my top 4. I saw.
So we agreed.
Yeah, I mean,
except for I had Cincinnati over Georgia.
I saw numerous people say today that Cincinnati should be number 1 because they went undefeated.
No chance.
And
strength is
I disagreed, and I spent a good part of the day on Facebook like, okay, tell me your logic. Yeah, they beat Notre Dame. Look, anytime, I don't care if Notre Dame's 2-9, if you can go and beat Notre Dame, it's a storied win for your program.
Every team above Cincinnati has beaten at least 3 or 4 ranked opponents. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati's basically beaten 2.
Right.
And I'm talking about don't even get me started with the top 10 opponents.
Michigan has 2.
Right.
Top 25.
3. Iowa last night.
Ohio State, and Penn State.
Michigan State.
No, they lost to Michigan State.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they're only 2 ranked at the time when they were playing them. They were ranked. Notre Dame only had 1.
Todd says they should have been 3rd. I had them 3rd. I could see that, but here's the deal. Like again, you look at Georgia. Okay, so I don't want to pick straws here because I think the games that I wanted to see are there. I mean, no doubt, Alabama just happens to be ranked number 1. What drove me crazy is. Here we go with the SEC Alabama bias all over again. It's got the committee's so tone deaf to what's even going on. There's a Alabama absolute fatigue in the United States.
No, there is.
There is not a chance. Look, they're close. Alabama was not the best team this year. Was not. And Juice, by you even saying that, with your ranking, you agreed. It just seems to me that the committee really, without hesitation, just watched this one game against Georgia and forgot about the Auburn game, which they had to get in 4 overtimes to win. They forgot about Arkansas, which they lost. I mean, they won by 7 points, and they struggled against some other teams. I mean, they really did. The whole body of work. This is not Nick's. I think we talked about this, Juice. This was not Nick Saban's best team.
No, it's not.
This was Nick Saban's best coaching.
Right.
Absolutely.
But okay, if we're gonna go by like, okay, well, so and so struggled with so and so. Look back, historically at Clemson. I mean, when's the last time Clemson goes to Pitt and loses a couple years ago?
Correct.
That they struggle. So every team's Oklahoma. We can make the same argument for every team. In the top 10 is that hey, they've had a few struggle games. Baylor, Oklahoma, Ohio State. Everybody's struggled. Nobody has looked the part. And then going back to Ohio State, they lose to Oregon early in the season.
Right.
And now Oregon, my gosh,
crap to bed.
They kind of ran the table the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Had a couple losses,
crap to bed.
and then get to the championship game and just, like you said, crap to bed. 2 weeks in a row, Utah just murders them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're picking at straws here because, again, but it's important because, who's the top team? If we look at the body of work and we look and see, okay, Michigan lost to Michigan State, right? At Michigan State, I believe it was, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that quality of loss, is that greater than Alabama's loss to a Texas A&M?
Unranked.
Texas A&M was ranked at the time.
Yeah, and
they
were unranked.
Right, but they were unranked. And again, I think Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken, has like 4 or 5 losses this season, right?
They're 8-4.
Okay, so they're 8-4. Okay, so that's not a quality loss. That wasn't against a 1 or 2 loss team. Overall, that was a 4-loss team. Michigan State, I think they lost now 3, right, at the end of the year. But Michigan State was a lot stronger opponent at that time that Michigan lost to than a Texas A&M loss, when Alabama went to Texas A&M. So by that default alone, I think Michigan has that upper hand.
I agree. And look, I agree. I think I put Michigan as my number 1. But then again, you go back and look at it, it's, what have you done for me lately? Alabama's loss was more in the past than Michigan's loss was.
Not much more. It was a week or two.
A couple of weeks, but still, it's a what have you done for me lately?
No, and they made that quite apparent, man. I mean, it was just so obvious that one game determined that Alabama can just jump from 4 to to 1 and leapfrog all those teams. It just baffles me. I mean, and Juice, let's talk about this. The question is, was the Big Ten a better conference than the SEC this year? Man, people are at my throat. They're saying there's no way.
Look, if they're top 2. Yeah.
Yes.
They're top heavy.
They're very top heavy. Both conferences are very top heavy. But if you take the SEC West division against the Big 10, their top 6 or 7 teams, I think the SEC goes 4-2, 5-1.
Okay, but the SEC wants to have 14, 16 teams. You can't say, only look at half of it. I only want to show you half of it. No, we have to look at the whole. We're talking SEC, whole conference SEC versus whole conference Big Ten. And if you get to catch the show last week, I gave you the numbers that says the Big Ten is the second best conference in the country behind football independence. Right, using top 25 rankings and the fuzzy math that I'm going to admit that I used puts the SEC as the 6th best conference. What I was doing is I was taking the team ranks, averaging the team ranks throughout that. And,
I think Vanderbilt kind of skews that number.
Well, no, I'm not even
this year.
That's not even using Vanderbilt. I'm only using their ranked teams. That if you take the SEC's ranked teams, the average rank in the SEC is 14.16. The Big Ten's average rank among their ranked teams is 8.75.
Wow.
Big Ten's better.
Okay.
I agree. Now let me ask you. Let me ask you this. Well, let me just state this: Tim Brando, Fox Sports, awesome announcer. Got on 670 Score this week in Chicago, and went on a magical rant. I hope everybody goes and listens to it. Go to your Odyssey app, look at the station 670 The Score, look at Mully & Hall show, and listen to what Tim Brando said. He had called out the committee about the rankings of the top 25. Okay, and guys, I'm going to pull up the rankings here. Okay, we got to talk about this because, believe it or not, like I usually don't focus on the bottom 25, but believe it or not, we got to look at it. And the reason being is because I think there's a little bit of sham going on, guys. I'll be honest with you. And I cannot agree with Tim Brando any more than what he said. He said the bottom tier of the top 25 was there to give Alabama quality wins over Arkansas, Texas A&M, LSU.
Beat Texas A&M.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But they lost to Texas A&M, give them more of a quality opponent, right? So look at this, guys. Here's the top 25. Obviously, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati. I'm going to bring you all the way down to there, 25th. Is Texas A&M the 25th ranked team in this country?
Did that change from last week?
This is the brand new.
How does A&M join the top 25 and not play?
Here, thank you, Sam. Look, Alabama,
but
Michigan, Georgia,
they dropped
Cincinnati.
3 teams. I've got some stuff from last week.
So they put Texas A&M 25th.
Well, that boosts. Okay,
how are they 25th?
They're the best four-loss team in the country, I guess.
Okay,
sure. No, actually,
that'd be Arkansas.
21. Arkansas is 21st with 4 losses.
Arkansas and Kentucky both moved up into rankings, not playing. You know, that your bottom of the rankings should have been set.
Okay, so
with the exception of Oregon. Where's Oregon sitting on there? 14. Okay, they shouldn't have moved there.
Oh, okay, so my point is being this. Okay, LSU was on this list. Before this final list came out, LSU was also there.
I don't think they were. I think the bottom 3 were Kentucky, A&M, and Kentucky, Arkansas, and.
Okay, so my question is this though.
San Diego State, wasn't it?
San Diego State's number 24 after their loss against Utah State. But anyway, guys, check this out. So you mean to tell me that a 4-loss Arkansas should be in this list? 4-loss Arkansas, a 4-loss Texas A&M. Now, what is their commonality?
SEC.
Well, they're in
the SEC West. They played Alabama. Okay, the commonality is they played Alabama.
But
Alabama's quote unquote strength of schedule because their wins and their opponents and how they played them. They're considering the quality wins over Arkansas, a top 25 opponent, and their loss, a top 25 opponent against Texas A&M, should be counted for them to be the number 1 rank. I think that's garbage.
Okay, so listen,
garbage.
So it's in my opinion here. This is all about perspective. So you're looking at it as Alabama's got quality wins. There's no way Arkansas, Texas A&M should be ranked. All right. Well, if you flip the script a little bit, you say, okay, well, look, Arkansas damn near beat Alabama. Why wouldn't they be ranked? Texas A&M did beat Alabama. Why wouldn't they be ranked? So it's a matter of perspective. I mean, really.
Yeah, but I think it's true. I think it's absolute true SEC bias. I mean, it's just like instead of loading the bottom half of that top 25 with other teams.
Sam, you're muted.
Yep, I'm muted. No, so hey, no. Penn State doesn't Penn State have 4 losses? So why aren't we talking about Penn State being in the in the top 25 here? If we're going to throw 4-loss teams in there, the only reason is the SEC.
I think Penn State's better. I think Penn State was better than Kentucky, and Kentucky was second in the SEC East.
Yeah, they needed to do some of that SEC East juice.
It's the SEC East.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that too. When they moved when Oklahoma and Texas come and join. But that's for another show. You can't really split up those teams. There's too many teams there's too many teams in the West that you can't really split those groups up. But you got to move some people back to the East. And I think LSU is probably your biggest candidate.
Well, they're going to kick out
Auburn will go to the East.
They're going to kick out Vanderbilt.
Auburn, you don't want an Iron Bowl every year?
No, I do. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. Is Auburn's going to? They're the most Far East team.
Yeah.
Without the Auburn will go to the East, but
Yeah,
that's
Vandy needs to go.
Do what?
Vandy is the team that needs to go.
Yeah, and they do. But poor Vanderbilt. They're, gosh, man.
Bless their hearts.
But
Hey,
look, here's
great
the thing.
baseball team,
Going back to this Penn State thing, Auburn goes up to Penn State in a whiteout and beats them.
Yeah.
So,
we brought that up too, though, man. Juice, look, do you know the record for Penn State at home in a whiteout game is exactly 500?
Yeah.
It's not that big a big deal.
It's not. I mean, look, I don't care what the fans are wearing. I don't care if they come up in Elmo costumes. At the end of the day, it's all about 11 on 11 on the football field.
100%.
And
so, I mean, let's break down the conferences a little bit more. Juice, if you did catch our show last week, I think I brought this up. How many SEC teams were 500 or worse this year?
In the SEC or overall?
Your overall
East
record.
And West.
East and in the whole East SEC. How many teams were 500 or worse?
So in the East, you had 2 teams over 500 in the East. That's it.
I'm asking under 500. 500 or worse.
Okay, so you had 5 in the East, and then you had
10 to 12 teams.
It's 7.
6.
So you had 5 in the East and 1 in the West.
Well, you okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. East, West, whatever. I'm talking conference as a whole. If you're just trying to noodle through it, I got you. So you've got 6 teams that are 500 or worse. Mm-hmm. 500. I mean, they make bowls now, but
yes.
If you're a 500 team, you're not that impressive to me. How many 500 or worse teams were in the Big Ten?
3.
6.
6. Okay.
Yeah. Well, now, but the Big Ten had 3 teams with losing, or with 5 teams that had total losing records. It's a little bit of a toss up. You can add it up, but if you
go down that depth chart between the Big Ten and the SEC, you've got very cream of the crop deals with Alabama and Georgia. Okay, that's a top heavy SEC.
You got Michigan, Ohio
champions.
State on the other side.
Well, not necessarily. You also had Michigan State, you have Penn State, you have Wisconsin. I mean, it's a little bit more balanced in terms of not being so top heavy in terms of win-loss records and opponents and everything else. SEC was completely top heavy, no question.
Ravens just scored with.
I guess this is a downfall to streaming TV. I'm sitting here watching. I'm seeing a shot of Pittsburgh sitting on the bench. Okay, Jackson's lining up, and I'm like 3 minutes behind streaming, so. I'll take your word for it, Drew.
Okay, Todd says and this is what we talked about. We're talking about this year, Todd. You're talking about like overall. If Ohio State played, let's take a team. Okay, here you go. Can Ohio State, the second best team in the Big Ten, I think, behind Michigan, could they beat Georgia, the second best team in the SEC?
Be a dogfight.
Yeah, it would be
50-50.
One of those games.
It's a coin flip.
And that's what I'm saying. If you take your top 6 teams from the Big Ten, your top 6 teams against the SEC, I think the SEC goes 4-2. I really do.
But one game. Neutral site. Who wins that game? I argue Ohio State.
I think Olave would have a day.
I think he had 300 yards.
But I don't think Ohio State could stop Georgia's running game. I really don't. I really think Georgia.
It'll be a shootout. It'll be
like
like
Michigan did to them on running the ball.
Yeah, I think Georgia could run the ball. That big offensive line they have, I think Georgia would run the ball and eat up clock. And I think
it would be fun to see.
It would be a blast.
And look, and what's great about
Georgia, Michigan is going to be a great game to watch.
I hope to God Michigan, Alabama. I hope to God that's what we see.
Yes.
Because we will see finally. to determine this outcome. We will see.
Todd just had another comment here. Georgia will stomp Michigan. Which Georgia? If it's the Georgia we all watched play last night, all Michigan has to do is score 25, and that Michigan team is more than capable of 25. That Georgia was exposed last night.
It will be the greatest tight end game in college football history.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Bowers and Ash will be the best two tight end tandems we ever will see.
But here's the thing. Besides Alabama, I don't think there's another team that can compete with Georgia size-wise than Michigan. I really don't. I think, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, they've kind of cornered the market on these big behemoth grown men, offensive and defensive linemen. And to me, look, I've always been a huge fan of the guys up front. That's where your football games are.
That's where football's played.
Is in the trenches. And those three have – I didn't think Alabama had it because I really thought Georgia's defense was –
Those two guys in the middle for Georgia are just behemoths.
They're refrigerators with legs. They're huge.
Yeah.
But
Todd's saying again, Michigan can't run on Georgia. Michigan isn't going to run on Georgia. They're going to throw 15 yards downfield every time, just like Alabama did. If Michigan does not go into that Georgia game with having watch that film and go play for play and do because I don't think Georgia put a secondary on the field the middle second and quarter.
Oh, it was awful.
Third quarter.
I mean, they tried to play some deep zone, and
where is there should be a cornerback, there should be a safety, but nope, there's not. And it's Michigan's strength is their running game. Todd, you're right, but no, when they got to throw, they suck. Okay, but when you're throwing against a crappy secondary, your passing attack suddenly gets a lot better.
I think Michigan absolutely just destroyed Iowa, not because of a running game. Did you watch the game?
I'm sorry.
They threw all over Iowa.
Their first two touchdowns were over 50 yards. They were big. They got up because of the big plays. And then, of course, the second half, they kind of just, Iowa was outmatched. But, you look at the first half and you thought you take away the big plays, and this is a 7-3 ball game. Yeah, halftime, really.
Yeah, McNamara ain't no pushover for a quarterback. He's got some skill.
Just you had said something about Kirby Smart, man. Has not beaten Nick Saban, man. Tell everybody what you told me today, man. It was great.
Which part? I forgot.
We talked about how Kirby Smart gets frustrated, but you said we said that Nick Saban.
Yeah. So look, and this is something that it was a meme a long time ago, and we kind of laughed about it, but I'm starting to believe it's true. And, Nick Saban was basically taught Kirby Smart for years. Kirby Smart was at Alabama. And I just always think it's funny that Nick Saban always goes back, or, the memes are brought up that, hey, Nick Saban he taught everything Kirby Smart he knows. Nick Saban didn't teach Kirby Smart everything Nick Saban knows. And that's, it's starting to ring true a whole lot. It really is. Kirby Smart's a great coach. And look, I'll tell you this, and I wholeheartedly believe this, and not a lot of people will ever talk about this, but when Kirby Smart took Scott Cochran away, Scott Cochran was Alabama's secret weapon. I mean, he was. And for those that don't know who Scott Cochran is, he was a strength and conditioning coach, the ball-headed dude that's jumping up and down on the sidelines for the entire game. He never stops. If you watch those kids I had some friends that graduated local high schools here, and they go to Alabama, they get in that strength and conditioning coach. And when they come back for, after summer workouts or whatever, they come back for a day or two and you run into them, it's night and day difference what that program could do. So Kirby Smart takes Scott Cochran and takes him to Georgia with him a year or two, I think 2 years after he leaves. And it's made you can tell a difference in the size and the conditioning of our athletes compared to Georgia's.
100%, man. 100%. Jonathan asked, what best non-playoff football game matchups go?
Jonathan, I'm gonna give you something here. Leave the crutch of go. off. You're in a. We're reading your comment. You're not speaking here. So that goes for everyone on Facebook. And go. I'm just going to leave this here. Come on, let's grow up. Let's all be a little bit better than every hack that we've seen for years and years and years. Non-playoff games. So Jonathan, I started digging into that after I saw your comment there. Baylor, Ole Miss, man, that Baylor team
that's gonna be awesome.
that I saw on Saturday, and that Baylor quarterback who's a freshman, 3 or 4 years from now, that kid is going number one, and he's going to be richer than rich. And going up against an Ole Miss team, that's kind of that middle to upper tier of the SEC. They're going to, I think that they have to prove something. So if you're looking for some good bowl games, they have to be your January 1 games, really. Outside of that,
Notre Dame, Oklahoma State,
Oklahoma, Oregon.
Yeah, okay.
That's the game I want to see.
The game with no head coaches.
Yes. Yeah, because look, it's not a done deal yet. Manny Diaz is still the head coach at Miami. And look, if I'm Manny Diaz, like I'm already packing my stuff, because if Mario Cristobal agrees to come, man, talk about it, just a kick in the throat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they haven't even fired the guy, and they're already looking for his replacement.
Yeah, it's well. I mean, they don't even have an AD. They don't even have an AD, dude. Yeah. Everything's messed up down there, man.
Ohio State, Utah. That's going to be a January.
That'd be a good one too. And I know
nobody wants to play Utah right now.
But you get into these bowl games, and does it mean anything for Ohio State? If Ohio State loses by 17, do they care?
Yeah. I mean, you play for pride. I mean, especially.
Well, but another thing too, a lot of these guys, this time of season, that they hung up their careers, man, hung up their cleats. They're not going to be playing in these bowl games. They're not as prestigious as they used to be because they're getting ready for the combine. You know what I mean?
And they are.
Yeah.
But look, you also, on the flip side of that, you've got one last game to show these scouts, hey, look, this guy he is a burner. He can do this. He can do that.
Correct.
I hate, like, if I'm a coach and you decide you're not playing, don't come to me wanting to join on my pro day. No, absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right on.
But, that's just my opinion. You're for a team. You're not here for yourself.
Correct. I agree with Sam. I think the Baylor Ole Miss game is probably the best non-playoff bowl we're going to watch. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's it. Hold on. As I'm going through the schedule here, let's see. Wednesday, December 29th, 2:15 p.m. This will be the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. If we could figure out some sort of a way to shoot a laser out of the TV to anybody watching that game, because it's only going to be Maryland and Virginia Tech fans. We will do the world a favor to rid the world of Maryland and Virginia Tech fans all at one time. Or if
it's at Yankee Stadium,
or if the Earth could swallow up Yankee Stadium, that
would actually be what both Maryland and Virginia Tech and swallow up Yankee Stadium.
I'd watch. You never know. We're not going to tell you when it's going to happen, but the Earth will swallow up Yankee Stadium. I'm sitting there, glued to the TV
with all the Mets players and fans there as well. I mean, just go ahead and throw that in here as well. I mean, just all of New York, just both teams, shove them in there.
Man, some of these bowl games just don't make any sense.
Peach Bowl, I can't. Jonathan, who's in the Peach Bowl? Because as I'm trying, you have to give me the 3 sponsors that
it's
that are
Michigan
part of the
State,
Peach Bowl.
Michigan State Pitt.
Okay.
Yeah,
Michigan State walks away with that one. I don't even see that.
I'm not even interested in watching that. And here's why. Again, I mean, we're talking about
because of Pickett. That's the only reason why people are going to watch that game, because he might be the number 1 quarterback taken off the board.
Well, and you're right. You're exactly right. But I still go back to the team of 2 no coaches, Oklahoma and Oregon. But just a funny game. Okay, so you're BYU. All right. I saw this today and I got tickled at it. So you're BYU. You're ranked 13th in the country. All right. Guess who your bowl game is against? UAB.
Slap in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. If I'm BYU, like, I look at this game and look,
that's you know what, they did that last year to BYU.
It's a slap in the face.
It is. It's a slap in the face. I mean, BYU is always disrespected. You know what I mean? But I tell you, I mean, you ask anybody who plays BYU, I don't think there's any tougher place at home to play anybody than BYU. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Now they're garbage on the road.
Well, but you go you go to like Coastal Carolina or Boise State,
right?
You know, the turf alone just throws everybody off. I can remember
100%.
Boise State.
Hawaii was always a rough place for people to play.
Yeah, because of the travel.
Hawaii, the travel and the Haka Warriors, and
you know, there was a time years ago when that's all Alabama could do was go play in the whatever bowl in Hawaii, the Hawaii Bowl.
Yep.
I
remember those lean years for Alabama. It was a different thing. And, you know, Alabama fans have to have something to be really proud of over the last few years. Let me ask you this, Bryce, Juice. Watching Bryce Young last night, did he set his career trajectory on the right path with that game last night? He played out of his mind, I thought.
As far as
they kept saying Heisman for the kid all night. Yeah, good, win a Heisman. But is he going to come back next year and you know, can he lead Alabama undefeated and in a national championship next year and be looking toward the NFL draft next year?
You know, when you play quarterback, and this goes to Tom Brady and anybody that plays quarterback, you are who the weapons you have around you. And
man, those receivers too. Oh my gosh!
I mean, you're only as good as the guys you have around you. I mean, you look at Tom Brady and who they consistently bring in to him to throw to. You know, you can go back to the Randy Moss days when they went undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl. You go now, you've got, you know, Mike Evans and Gronkowski and all these guys. So talking about Bryce Young for a second, look, that kid, when he came to Alabama, he had to sit behind Mac Jones. He had to sit behind Tua. We didn't really know what this dude had, like, really, because, you know, even in your practices, he didn't get many reps at all. But there had to be an upside to him because, my God, he's at Alabama. And all of a sudden, Mac Jones comes in and does – I honestly thought that this kid would be the starter last year. But Mac Jones comes in and just does what he does, and you see why now. I mean, he's with the Patriots. He's doing a fantastic job.
I mean, other than Micah Parsons, I mean, Mac Jones is, you know, rookie of the year. You know
Absolutely. What I mean? Absolutely. And then so now you've got this Bryce Young kid who everybody, you know, I think he started out the season Heisman odds favorite to win it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he's consistently he's getting better and he's doing these things and he's, you know, 4 touchdown games, 300+ yard games. And then last night, I thought yesterday evening at about 3:01, I just thought, my God, look at those grown men coming out of Georgia's tunnel. I thought it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly, but his offensive line gave him time to throw the ball, and he picked apart what was supposed to be the number 1 defense in the land. He picked them apart like they were a high school team.
Didn't they go just like 5, 6, 7 straight drives scoring on Georgia their second quarter into the third?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we started slow. Like it was 10-0, and I thought, man.
Well, 17-7 or 17-17 was a great game, and then you know, Alabama just they took over. At the very end there, 24-17 going into a half, man.
Yeah. But Sam, to answer your question, I think Bryce Young has set himself up to be, you know, just a overall number 1 pick next year. I think that he could easily come out next year and be number 1 overall. Has
he got Mitchie and Williams both coming back? Do you think? And how did Mitchie? He went down in the second. I didn't see much more of him. I started watching a hockey game too, so I'm not gonna lie to you.
He tore his ACL. He's done. Mitchie's ACL.
So he'll have to come back next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, let's go ahead and get picks and scores for this. We're gonna have a show tomorrow night. We're gonna be talking about a lot more, just college football. We're gonna be talking about, you know, all the good in the NFL and all that stuff.
Baseball lockout.
Yeah, baseball lockout. That's wonderful. Another one. Yeah.
Billionaires versus millionaires.
But let's talk about you know, your picks, obviously, and then kind of give me your scores and the reasons. But let's go ahead and start with Juice. Alabama, Cincinnati.
Gosh, man. You know, Cincinnati, I think they're going to be tough, but I think, you know, Alabama 42-17, something like that. Kind of similar to what you saw with Georgia today.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Okay, Sam.
Um, I think Cincinnati is going to be a little bit more of a thorn in the side for a little bit. You saw a Boise State team do this a few years ago when they didn't deserve. A lot of people said they didn't deserve to be there, and they beat somebody they weren't supposed to in the postseason. I think Cincinnati is no one in the world is going to pick Cincinnati except for that head coach. I still think Alabama's way too good of a team. I think Cincinnati's going to make it look like a good game for a little bit. 34-20 Alabama pulling away late.
I'm gonna try to pull up, see if they have the lines available already. I don't know if they do or
They've
not.
got the odds. I had the odds pulled up a minute ago.
They do. It's Alabama by 14. 58.5 is going to be the over under.
14. That's
I said 11.5. I think the number's going to come down. I think it's going to come down probably maybe 13 or 12.5.
I can see him moving up. Yeah.
Yeah, you will get some money on Cincinnati. I mean, it won't be sharp money, but I think Cincinnati's a plus 410 to win the game. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think like Juice, I'm with Juice. I think Alabama is absolutely going to wax Cincinnati.
At least 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like like around that. I think it's going to be like 48. I wouldn't even give Cincinnati. I'm not even going to give Cincinnati 17. I'm going to say 14. I think it's going to be 48-14. Yeah, I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't want to disrespect them, but they're just so much more physically dominant.
Well, there's more 5-star athletes on Alabama's punt team than there is on Cincinnati's roster, and that's just
yeah.
You're
exactly right. You're exactly right. Now, interesting line, guys. Georgia is 7.5-point favorites against Michigan.
Wow.
I
would take Michigan in that all day.
Yeah, I got Michigan 21-20 over Georgia.
Okay, 20. You got 21-20.
Michigan.
Okay, Drew, what'd you have for Alabama? What was your?
I had the exact same score Juice did, 42-17.
Okay,
Alabama.
I got you. So you're picking Michigan. You picking Georgia over Michigan, Drew, or Michigan?
No, I'm taking Michigan 21-20 over Georgia.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Which is that's the over under. The over under is 43.5. So you're right around that over under.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you got, bud?
I like Michigan there too. Like it's just Georgia hasn't played many great teams. They've got a handful of ranked wins, sure, but when Auburn was number 18, that is not the Auburn team that ended the season. So I don't think that I was talking about how great that Georgia defense was just Monday night, and then I watched it last night, and I'm ready to light them on fire for it. I like Michigan there as well. Harbaugh's doing something. He's got a great team. I mean, they just beat Ohio State for the first time in 7, 8, 9 years. So they can do something. I'll take Michigan 24-20 there.
Juice.
Look, 350 days ago, Jim Harbaugh was on the hot seat.
Yep. Now he's a god in Michigan.
Now he's a Big Ten champ. Going into the college, beat Ohio State, going into the college football playoffs. The Fighting Harbaughs, look, I think they're a fantastic football team. I've watched them play. I watched them play against Michigan State, and you could even argue that the ref kind of gave that game to Michigan State in some ways. They could easily be undefeated right now. Honestly, they could. However, anytime you give a defensive coach like Kirby Smart or Nick Saban, time to prepare for an offense, you're going to make it very difficult. I don't care. You look what Georgia did first game of the season against Clemson. Okay, we all thought that, my gosh, Clemson was going to wax floor with them. Where there was one touchdown scored the whole game, and it was a defensive touchdown. So you give defenses a chance to prepare for an offense and study them, makes it hard. That being said, I think Michigan will edge them out just because Georgia kind of got exposed. But I also I kind of want to go both ways with this and say, look, Georgia's going to play angry now. Georgia's going to play very angry.
Oh, the hornet's nest has been busted.
Yeah. You poked a bear. You poked a bear. So
yeah.
I'm going to say Michigan, but I might change my tune in about 2 weeks.
Let me say this. and this is one of the most overlooked things, and people just don't understand. Okay, when you have teams that travel south this late into the season, they never do well. They're going to Miami, and ask Baltimore Ravens what it means to play in Miami. Okay,
It's
it's hot, it's humid, and these boys from Michigan are not used to this kind of weather. They need to get down there now in condition, because it's a different ball game. Georgia may have a little bit of her upper hand because of that, because they do play in a little bit, that similar kind of climate. And people are like, "You're crazy." No, I'm not. I'm dead serious. You look at all the teams that go down south and try to play in this kind of humidity and heat, they cramp up, they tire out, they get injured all the time during the games. Yeah. That could be a factor in this.
It's a different animal down here in the South. Even in the wintertime, it's a different animal down here in the South.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. With all that being said, again, like you said, I believe the game is played in the trenches. If Michigan could dominate the trenches and hold and open up a little bit of gap for these boys to run through, I think Michigan can win this game. I think it's going to be close. I think Michigan pulls it out. They're plus 250 to win. Yeah. They are 7.5 points underdog. I'm gonna hammer that. I'm gonna absolutely hammer that before the line gets carried away. I think
Michigan is plus 800 to win it all.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so
completely
Alabama's plus 120
at a 2 seed. At a 2 seed.
Yeah,
Michigan plus 7.5. I think that drops down to a full point to 6.5. But with all that being said, I think Michigan takes the game. I think Michigan takes the game like people said. I think it's going to be like a 24-21 game. I think that's what's going to happen. It's just you're going to see a really fun game.
You're going to see an old school.
This could be all field goals.
Expect one fake punt from Michigan. Expect the trickeries, flea flickers, all that stuff. Harbaugh will throw the kitchen sink at Georgia.
Interesting thing that I think about this game too. This game's played on Friday, December 31st at 7:30. Yeah, so we're going to sit down. We're going to sit down and watch this game, and this game's going to end, and it's going to be like, oh crap, 3, 2, 1, happy 2022. It's going to run you right into the new year.
The best thing that could happen.
A very, very interesting way of scheduling some playoff games.
The best thing that could happen for Michigan if it's a downpour.
Yeah, cool things off a little bit and slow those guys down. Those guys down.
100%. Well, guys, that was enjoyable, man. I appreciate it, man. It was a good conversation. Todd and all those guys who joined us. Jonathan, thanks for joining us, man. A lot of great conversation. We're just here to talk about it, man. We all have varying opinions about it. I think that overall, I think the 4 teams that are in should be in. I don't think Notre Dame was even in the conversation, and that was very apparent, and I don't think they should have been even close to that. But being a 5 seed, I think that gives a nod to their season.
You're going to take everybody's national champ?
No, we'll talk about it once.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a show where we pick all the bowl games.
We will.
Oh, okay, that'll be a good one. No,
we'll have a pick 'em contest, guys. We'll have a Motion Sports College Bowl
pick 'em contest. All right. I'm in. Now, again, just about Notre Dame there, real quick, Greg. I wanted to throw Georgia out and put Notre Dame in, and so
I think that's crazy.
And just looking at what did Georgia win? Georgia's not a conference champion. Notre Dame technically isn't either, but that's because they don't play in a conference. So I wanted to use my crazy math skills again, and so I said I'm going to prove that Notre Dame played a better schedule than Georgia. I was wrong. Georgia, and so it wasn't by much. It was combined records were 86 and 69 for Georgia, and 71-72 for Notre Dame. So what I see, what I think, what I feel, I used my numbers to talk myself back down off of that ledge, and after doing that, it's like I said, okay, Georgia deserves to be there more. Notre Dame, if Notre Dame finally decides they want to quit being greedy and take all that independent NBC money, then maybe they'll go join the ACC. If Notre Dame played in the ACC
they'll
championship,
never play ACC.
Look, not football. You might be right, but let's say that they did play that ACC championship
game. Conference champion this year.
Would you have thought different of Notre Dame as a conference champion?
No.
No. Even
because the ACC was so weak.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely terrible. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But give it
I
to
think
Wake Forest,
Notre
though.
Dame,
They lit
if
some
they
teams
even if
up
they had
this
a
year.
conference championship, they're right where they need to be.
Yeah. Look, Notre Dame's had their chance year after year after year to be
everybody
in there.
wants Notre
They
Dame.
show up and they get waxed. I mean,
Yeah. There's that.
They
For 'em, too.
belong in the Rose Bowl taking on USC every year, no matter what the record is.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know if I go that far.
Well,
That's
with Lincoln going to USC, that team's going to turn around real quick. Lincoln Riley, instant contender.
No.
His recruiting is going to be
Okay, so
phenomenal out that way.
let's talk about this real quick.
Drew, hold on. I'm trying to find my article. This is one that I really was big on. So I wrote an article. It's on motionsportsnetwork.com. All aboard the college coaching carousel. And this is my craziness. And I just told you my crazy thoughts of Notre Dame is a better team than Georgia until I actually went and did the research into it. I like the idea of Riley going to USC. All he has to do is recruit the best kids in the state of California, and it's USC. Why are those kids not going to want to come there?
If I was
Don't
Oregon,
let
I'd
them,
be pissed.
Okay.
You don't let them go to Oregon. You don't let them go to Notre Dame. You don't let them go to Alabama. So you win recruiting in that state, and then you aren't coaching in the SEC against other SEC teams. You have a better chance of making the playoff year after year.
Okay, time out.
Time
out. I think you guys are overlooking the whole social aspect of this, okay? Brian Kelly just lost a ton of recruits with this LSU debacle that he just had by introducing himself. He tried to talk with a fake accent. You mean to tell me he's going to go down to the Louisiana Bayou, being a guy who's from Massachusetts, sitting down in Opelousas, Louisiana, in a living room with his fake Southern accent? These kids will read you like a book. They don't want any part of you. Yeah. Lincoln Riley is from the Midwest. He's from Texas, okay? Texans do not belong in Southern California. There's a social connection there. Lincoln Riley is not going to go to the streets of Compton and find recruits in Compton at a high school with his Texas attitude in Southern California. These kids are going to read him like a book. They're not going to go for that, man. You've got to have players that relate to coaches. Okay, you've got to do that.
So that's his coaching staff's job there. And
I mean, look what he did.
My point that I'm trying to make is I would rather go to USC where I just have to win.
There's a cultural disconnect. I'm telling you, he's going to fail.
It ain't going to matter.
Okay,
he's going to fail.
You absolutely might be right there. Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to work out.
Do you want to go to Arizona? No. Do you want to go to Arizona State? No.
Brian Kelly's
if I was Oregon, I'd be pissed because they're going to steal all their recruits.
Brian Kelly's a joke. He will choke on the LSU the job. I mean, he just ruined his career by going to LSU.
I do too. And
I can tell you who is going, who's not going to be a contender for a while. That's Oklahoma, because everybody's jumping ship there. Lincoln Riley left, and you got. I mean, look. Beginning of the year, it was Spencer Rattler against the world. Oklahoma was going to dominate. They got the best quarterback in the country. Spencer Rattler gets benched, and I said it, 2 months ago when he got benched. How long until he enters the transfer portal? Now he's gone. You've got. I think there was 6 or 7 recruits in a 24-hour period that just bailed on Oklahoma.
It's gone.
That's right.
Yeah. And so you've got
to. He can get those guys back.
You've got Oklahoma that needs to rebuild. So spend the next couple of years rebuilding yourself into something before 2025 and jump into that SEC buzzsaw. It's not looking good for Oklahoma and Texas now. I don't think.
But guys, think about it. Think about the long-term effect of this. Okay, so Brent Venables was just named the football coach for Oklahoma. Okay, which is actually a real good move. Now,
I like that hire a lot.
I do too, because here's what they're doing. 2023, they make the move into the SEC. You've got to play defense.
I thought it was 25
or 25. It's a long-term outlook.
Okay,
getting this program into a defensive-minded program and not just the shootout you're losing 48-44. You've got to have that kind of football acumen when you get in the SEC to be competitive.
Yeah, I agree. And
It's going to take a while, though.
It will. It's because look, you don't have historically good defensive players at Oklahoma right now. You've got some, you really do, but you go back and look at Lincoln Riley's history. He's an offensive guy. I mean, he won't score 100 points a game. He don't care what you score.
Running backs and receivers.
So he's going to use the majority of these scholarships and quarterbacks and everything else, for offensive-minded players. And then defense, here's a linebacker, go do something, kind of thing.
Yep.
So now you're going to be the opposite. You're going to say, all right, well, look, we've got a great quarterback, but we need great defensive linemen. We need defensive linemen that can stand up to these SEC massive refrigerator offensive linemen. We need these kind of guys that can plug these run gaps because they're going to run straight through us if we don't.
100%, man.
So this as I was writing an article, it got me thinking about this, and this is one that's still bouncing around the noodle here. What one school would you go coach at? Be the head coach at. You can go ahead and be the head coach of any school in the country. What school would you go to?
Right now?
It's working with what they have. The easy answer is Alabama, I guess. But,
no. Right now, it's Florida State.
Okay.
And the reason being, it's because the program is down so much. They're looking
not just. I want to think about the program. I want to think about the school, the area, the everything. Like Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin would be a great place to be a head coach at. LSU would be a great place to be a head coach at.
LSU would be amazing.
Yeah.
Texas. I say Texas. Look, you're not going to find a program with more money.
No, that's true. But
Notre Dame.
But Juice. The problem is, and you can talk to any coach that has stepped away, like a Mac Brown. Yeah. The worst part of Texas is the boosters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're the worst. I mean, look at the Jerry Joneses of the world.
All right.
Okay.
So you're exactly right. The boosters run that program. I don't care how many ADs you got, how many presidents you got. The boosters run that program. It's the same
into the ground.
Yeah, it's the same way at Auburn because I can go ahead and tell you right now. The way Auburn has done their stuff, the company, the guy that owns Yellowwood, okay, he's a $900 million checking account at any given time. Him and his buddies down there, they run Auburn. And you look at what that program's done, okay, after post-Cam Newton, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Because of all the coaching, the carousels, and I hate this and I hate that. Well, then on top of that, and just to throw this out there, look, Bo Nix. All right, the guy went to school. He's from alma mater. I know him personally. He grew up right just a couple miles from where I live right now. All right, He goes down there to Auburn University, and he's supposed to be the next great quarterback. Whatever. He was a 60% completion guy in high school. He's a 60% completion guy now. He's the starting quarterback at Auburn because of who his daddy is, and the boosters want him there. Do you think for 1 second Gus Malzahn had any say-so in who the starting quarterback was?
No.
Absolutely not.
No way.
Do you think Steve Sarkisian has any say-so in who his starting quarterback was or who anybody is down there? Absolutely not.
That's why when I thought about this thing is what I want to go and be a head coach in the SEC and have to deal with those booster things and the insane.
But it's a cash cow.
The expectations.
Listen, we had Hollywood actors and actresses go to jail because they were paying their kids way into the school. You don't think that's not going on into the football program?
Oh yes, no. That's why. Like as I thought about it, I thought like, you know what, Wisconsin, yeah, it's a chilly place, but man, is there a more passionate fan base than Wisconsin when you step out of the South?
But you would want to go to where the talent is, Texas and Florida. Now,
Florida, yeah. I mean,
Wisconsin doesn't have a whole bunch of big lumberjack guys that you can turn into offensive linemen. I'd take those. And Wisconsin there too. Who are you recruiting against in the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota?
Let me say
you don't have to work hard. If you're the head coach at LSU, you have people coming into Louisiana. You have guys from Alabama and Auburn and Oklahoma and Texas, Mississippi State. They want your kids from Louisiana.
Here's the problem, guys. Brian Kelly was LSU's third pick. They wanted Lincoln Riley first, right?
Yeah.
They didn't get him. And so look, they called Brian Kelly. He said no originally, turned down the job. Everything else. Why are these coaches turning down the LSU job? Is it really the greatest job? They paid $15 million a year now for Brian Kelly. They had to up the ante to get him to come in. There's obviously this this moniker, this thing about LSU being the best coaching job in college football. Is it really? These coaches know what's going on. I think the best SEC job, because of the passionate fan base, is not LSU. It's Georgia. Georgia has the most passionate fan base I've ever seen.
But if you're
they
do you want to
live,
play
breathe, and
against
die.
Alabama, or do you want to go against Georgia?
No, but I'm saying I'm talking about from a passionate fan base wise. They live, breathe, and die Georgia Bulldogs.
Tennessee's got probably the most loyalist fan base.
No, George, you've never been to Georgia. Then
That's college football. You can say that about
but Todd,
college football teams. They've got the most passionate fan bases. They do, but
they did call Jimbo Fisher. Todd's right. They called Jimbo Fisher. That's exactly right.
But Todd, I just want to tell you, bud, you were completely wrong. Ohio State does not have the biggest fan base in the country, and I can prove it.
Oh, Alabama does.
Because you don't go up north, or you don't come down south and hear what does Ohio State say? Go pig nuts or whatever. You go up north
Buckeyes.
To Buckeyes. You go up north, and I've been up north several times, like working hurricanes and stuff like that. I mean, roll tides, I heard. And it wasn't just because we're from Alabama. It's because there's people wearing Alabama hats. Ohio State is not the biggest fan base in the country.
No, it's not. I would give it to Michigan over Ohio State.
No, the biggest fan base in the country is Notre Dame. There's an Irish bar in every city in every state in this country.
Yeah.
So like the Irish or not, that's fine. Would you want to go to Notre Dame and coach?
No.
Exactly. I'd like some of the schools that I think about
$3.5 million a year.
Wisconsin.
You get 10 to 15 over at LSU.
Wisconsin, LSU, Florida State would be a pretty darn good job too. I think the USC job can be a good job. Can be a good job for the right person, like you were saying there, Greg. Can you go into Los Angeles and recruit and win the recruiting battle? If you can, you're going to do just fine.
Here's the question, guys. I mean, are we going to see a switch now that we've seen this money come in and paying these coaches out? Nick Saban is the man, of Tuscaloosa. I mean, there's just no way around it. He is the king. He controls that town. Is there going to be a defect from the NFL to the college football coaching ranks? Like, look what Mel Tucker got, man. Mel Tucker was the Chicago Bear defensive coach under Mark Trestman, the worst defense of coach we've ever had. He goes to Michigan State. He signs a $90 million 10-year deal, and he's locked in. Okay, $95 million 10-year deal. He's locked in into Michigan State. These big contracts, these are actually more than what NFL coaches are getting today. Is there going to be a defect from the NFL to college to get into these big name schools?
No, because it breeds their players for them.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, the one thing I'll say to that is Billy Napier, Louisiana to Florida. You don't have to pay a ton of money. You find the guy who's coming up and has done some great things in a school, in one of these lower schools, to take them into an AAC or a Sun Belt championship, and then you can hire that guy. And that's still the biggest thing that happens in college football and with college coaches. I think that's still. But
let me tell you something. So the kid who's coming to these big name schools, what's their ultimate goal?
Win the championship.
Go to the NFL.
Go to the NFL.
Make money.
You don't think an NFL coach or a prior NFL coach doesn't still have the connections to the NFL to get these kids to say, look, I've been there, done that. I can get you to that next level. I've been to that level. I can show you what it means to be that guy.
If you've been to that level, why are you at this level? If you couldn't succeed there, you couldn't succeed there. So that's why you had to come here.
Money, dude.
Well, look at Nick Saban. I mean, Nick Saban came back. I mean,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Money, dude. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because the NFL coaches are having look, It's easier to coach these college players because they have complete control.
Right.
All these coaches, you cannot be a coach and let them be a control freak. Okay. You have complete control. In the NFL, the inmates run the asylum. The players control the locker room. Okay. They control what goes on. It just happens. It's just professional sports. Look at the NBA, for God's sake. There's nothing more useless than an NBA coach.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
I
Sit there and it's tie and screams a little bit, and that's his job.
Right, but you go to college, like a Duke, college basketball is Mike Krzyzewski, right?
Wow.
That's going to be a very interesting school, basketball school here next year.
I don't think they miss a beat because of who they hired. I don't think they miss
It was his right-hand man, wasn't it?
It was his right-hand man. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Guys, we got to get out of here, man.
Yeah.
But great show, great discussion. Join us tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. We got a lot more sports to talk about. Juice, Sam, Drew, great job tonight. Thank you guys for coming on. I enjoyed it, man.
See you guys.
Good stuff.
See you guys again.
Bye.